Hi, I'm Julie with Ware Home Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to recycle clay in the studio. So whenever you have scraps that you've trimmed off of your pieces on the wheel, or chunks of clay if you're hand building, things that have dried out beyond the point of really being leather hard or workable, you definitely want the clay to be completely bone dry. So if you have larger chunks like this or something even bigger, make sure it's totally bone dry. You can put it into the mix and then add water. So I'm going to add water up to the top of the dry scraps of clay so that it's fairly level and that all of the pieces of clay, it's hard to tell when I tilt it like that, but so that all the pieces of clay are covered in water. Then I'm going to leave this to sit overnight, and the clay will really thoroughly dissolve at that point, and it's going to mix together super easily. So I have some clay that I've done the same to. I didn't actually let this one sit that long, so it's going to be problematic. But if you leave it overnight, it's going to work a lot better. But mostly I just want to show you the mixing process. So I have a skim of water on top before I see the chunks of clay over here. So I'm gonna empty out the water on top. That's just gonna take longer to soak into the plaster if I leave it. So I might as well get rid of it. And as long as the clay is thoroughly dissolved, I can just go back with a fork. We've got a bunch of these in the studio. You don't have to use any power tools as long as it's nice and soft and thoroughly dissolved. So now I'm just gonna stir for a while. I probably stir for about 5 minutes, something like that. You get a little bit of exercise in the process. And then once it gets really nice and creamy, kind of like pudding, I guess I would say, then you can pour it onto the plaster slab. We have these under the slab roller in the classroom. So, getting close, but I would mix it for even longer. You can see there's still a few little chunks in there. So I want it to be pretty darn close to thoroughly creamy, and that way I'm less likely to have any cracking issues with this clay. So the better you mix it, the better it's going to be to work with. So now I'm going to pour it onto a plaster slab. The plaster is like the ideal surface for drying out clay to just the right consistency. If I just left this out in the open air, it wouldn't dry very evenly, but on plaster, it's going to dry really nice and slowly and evenly over the air. So I'm going to pour out my recycled clay onto the plaster slab, and then I'm just going to carefully spread it out so it's about 1 inch thick. And I would get all of this out of here for the sake of the demonstration, just kind of rushing through this. And now I'm going to take a piece of plastic and I'm just going to gently drape the plastic on top. I don't really want the plastic to touch the clay, at least not very much. And then I just ask that you write a note that says that it belongs to you and when you'll be back, which usually is the next day. If you leave it for too long, it can get almost bone dry again. So make sure you leave plastic on it. That will help to slow the drying, and then just leave your note. And then the next day you're going to come back and thoroughly wedge it. So I recommend you actually do about 100 turns when you're wedging it to make sure that it's thoroughly mixed. So a lot of times when we have virgin clay straight out of the bag, we only wedge maybe 30 to 40 turns, but 100 turns, so pushing into the clay 100 times is going to be kind of ideal so that you can actually work with it on the wheel or hand building. So I hope that helps, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.